Welcome to another edition of Chris Rocket Podcast. I am Chris Rocket. We're at number 9. Very, you know, week 1 of NFL came and went, man. It was exciting as always. We all been deprived of football, man. So it was real nice to have real football come back into the fold. Some things we're going to talk about this episode. We're going to talk about the Zeke situation. I'm going to be talking about some Cleveland Indians, man. 21 straight wins. We're going to talk about week 1, and we're going to do predictions for week number 2. First, let's start off with the Zeke situation. Last week, Zeke was granted the temporary restraining order, which, blocks, or at least holds the suspension until, everything is sorted out. He was going to play week 1 anyway, but that was for week 2 and beyond, which, very Cowboys fan that's out there, that was a win right there. That was a temporary win. For everybody else, obviously, it was a total opposite. And then later on in a week, or maybe it was a few days ago, I can't remember, but the NFL filed an appeal to that temporary restraining order, which blocks that. In other words, the thing that's keeping Zeke on the field while the process is being handled, the NFL has appealed that. And if the NFL is granted that, then the Zeke suspension starts immediately. Well, I guess granted whatever day it goes down. Of course, as we sit right now, Zeke is playing week 2, but it puts week 3 and beyond in the question. And I expressed this many times. Let's just get the shit out the way, man. I don't know how he's going to be received if he gets suspended and then all this stuff comes out and he hasn't done anything, or the total opposite, but this little cat and mouse game, man, either you did it right or you did it wrong. And I know the NFL has caught flack from the Ray Rice situation. It's okay to make mistakes. Excuse me. It's okay to make mistakes. I think what will put a Band-Aid over it or heal the wound is the fact that you acknowledge that you made a mistake. And yes, you're going to get a lot of heat for it, but at least people can say, well, the NFL, you told the truth this time instead of just covering up, because the cover-up is much worse. Not to say that's what's going on here, but, you're reading a lot of shit and, stuff is just getting all janky and, and the NFL is like, man, we cannot have this happen again, but you have to do it right. And if you fuck up, you gotta admit it, as a Cowboys fan, of course, I'm a little more biased, I might be one of the few to say, let's just get it over with. Because I can feel that we're going to be on a nice run. We're going to be on a nice run, and then boom, the suspension pops up. And then what is that going to do? The Eagles are great right now. The Redskins are good. The Giants are good. You don't think we need every single game we can get right now? And if we can do it now. Do it while the Giants are figuring themselves out. Do it while the Redskins are figuring themselves out. The Eagles, you know what I'm saying? The Eagles will be the only people we worried about. No disrespect to the other two teams. Kind of, sort of not. But get the shit out the way, man. And, any other thing that's coming down the pipe, I will definitely let y'all know, or at least post it. I'm going to try to post a lot more shit on this page. I don't really post a lot of stuff. I usually post a lot of the news on the other page because a lot of those guys are Cowboys fans. But I might just double post. Just post for both pages, you feel me? But anyway, the Cleveland Indians, 21 straight wins, and this is some incredible shit. I can't even remember, a time that the Rangers were this hot. I think I can remember we won 11 straight or something like that, and I'd be happy as hell. You talking about a team that won 21 straight. The starters ERA 1.7. This team is like, and one thing about the Indians to me, and just going off my raw knowledge of the Indians without looking up anything, without, you know what I'm saying, like you really don't have like a guy that you really fear. I guess historically, of course, Manny Ramirez played for them. Jim Thome played for them for a long time. And, of course, those guys was feared in the lineup. But the classic Indians team, man, you have to account for 1 through 9. Kenny Lofton. I remember Kenny Lofton, man, leadoff hitter, man. You could pitch to him, and it wouldn't matter where it was. High and inside, low and away. He was gonna slap it the other way, and then boom, once he get on base, boom, he's on. He's gonna steal second, and he's gonna take that single and score off that single. This team here with Edwin Encarnacion, Corey Kluber, Lindor, this is like a collective. A good collective bunch of people. Of course, Edwin is the veteran, been in the league a long time. And you can tell that, this team is like rallying around, everybody. And to be honest, I'm happy for the city of Cleveland that they got winners, man. You had the Cavaliers winning the championship, finally bringing the championship to that town. If I'm not mistaken, the Indians went to the World Series but didn't win. I think they lost in 6 games. I forget who team that was. But I'm just happy for the city of Cleveland, man. They got winners over there. And, I'm going to be on record to say the Browns are headed in the right direction. So, whether LeBron leaves or not, that team, that city, it has winners and is on the right track. And I like what they're doing. As far as how far I think they'll go, when it comes to the baseball season, crazy stuff happens. The '97 Marlins comes to mind. Wild card team. Nobody really expected anything of them. Of course, they had great pitchers like Josh Beckett, and I think Kurt Schilling was on that team as well. You really, like, the playoffs is a whole different monster. And it brings out a whole different, side of, players. And, aside from the Chicago Cubs last year, man, you need that veteran experience, and you need a guy who's been there and done that. And I think Terry Francona is, like, perfect. I'm really rooting for this team. Not openly, because I'm a Rangers fan. And we're just trying to fight for the wild card. I think we're like 2 games back. But, this team, for the city of Cleveland, with all the things they endure with the Cleveland Browns, man, I'm happy for them, man. But if they're going to lose, they might as well just lose now, get it out the way. Because you know how it is. A lot of teams that, they get hot. And I don't know if, being hot in August rolling into September really counts as, a lot of momentum. But, there are teams that get hot a little too early. And, of course, the season is going to end, this month. So I don't think this is qualifies as too early. But, you don't want to feel yourself too much. Get that loss, get it in your system, and then start over, get hot again in the playoffs, because that's when it really counts. But I'm rooting for them guys, man. Coming up in the Chris Rocket Podcast, we're going to react from week 1 in the NFL. You are listening to the Chris Rocket Podcast, man.
Men face it, the male menopause is real. You're going to lose your virility someday. How about now? In the time it has taken to listen to this commercial, you're less virile than you were at the start. You've just wasted a whole lot of sperm. The decline has begun. It is time to fight back. As you start to go gray, get saggy, you're being upstaged by young bucks who will seduce your women and take your fortune. They need to know you're still the alpha. They need to know you're top dog and they're still a little pup. However, staying on top isn't just about jacking yourself with testosterone until you're humping the furniture. You'll need to go big. Showtime, who's boss? Do something really impressive and tell everyone about it. Hike Kilimanjaro, dog sled across Siberia, trek across Antarctica, raft the Amazon. You need an adventure travel service that can take you to the far reaches of the earth and give you the kind of experience you can boast about back home. Show them what kind of man you really are. A man who is fighting for meaning the only way he knows how, by showing off. It's time to take the menopause by the throat and strangle the life out of it. Contact Menopause Adventures today or visit menopauseadventures.com.
Give them a mobile phone. What are they going to do when they get attacked? Throw it at someone? Why not force the state to keep us all protected by arming everybody? The senile old lady in her home, the 3-year-old on the playground, the priest in his church. We think everybody should carry weapons at all times. That way nobody gets hurt. It's a proven fact. Where there's more guns, there are less shootings. Vote yes on Proposition 45. Mandatory concealed carry for everybody. The nuclear deterrent won the Cold War. Let's use the same logic and win the war on crime. Proposition 45. Teach your kids to protect themselves.
Welcome back to the Chris Rocket Podcast. Week 1 has came and went, man, and it was very exciting for me. Just happy that real football is back. Of course, my Cowboys won. I guess that's all that matters. But very interesting games that went down this week. A lot of surprises in my eyes. Starting with the Thursday night game, man, it was crazy. The Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. If you would have saw that first quarter, you would have thought game over, because Tom Brady had like 3 days in the pocket, and he just was shredding the shit out of the Chiefs, man. He standing there looking, scanning. I think he read his progressions twice. He was like, at 1 gone, 2 gone, 3 gone, up 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute, go back to 1. Like he was back there and just shredding some shit. And then the New England Patriots started dropping like flies with the injuries, man. Like, and it's fucked up. And then the Chiefs just ran away with it. Eric Berry came out this game with a ruptured Achilles. Amendola was hurt. Hightower was hurt. I mean, they were just dropping like flies. And you look at that team offensively, and Tom Brady. If 2 of his throws would have been on the money, this would have been a totally different game, because I felt like he missed Brandon Cooks on a couple deep balls, and this game would have been, like I said, this game would have been totally different. And the shit that I was talking about, during the preseason. When damn, my throat scratching today, man. But the thing that I was talking about in the preseason, where it's like they're gonna be very dangerous because they're gonna be a vertical team all the way through. Maybe that's a deterrent, because now Gronk has become, he's not benefited from that, because he only had 1 catch. Maybe they do need this possession guy, and somebody needs to become that guy. And the guys that they have now isn't built for that. And guys can account for the running backs now. And they need to do something about that. I don't think Amendola's coming back. Malcolm Milton was hurt. Philip Dorsett is a deep guy. Chris Hogan is a deep guy. Brandon Cooks obviously a deep guy. So, you know, they need that underneath shit. They need an underneath receiver. I mean, they can trade for Cole Beasley if they want to. I mean, you know, if they want to, they can. But guess what, man? You better give us a first round pick for 3 straight years before we give you Cole Beasley. But that game ended badly, 42-27. Kansas City with the win. The star of the night was Kareem Hunt. I kid you not, I did not see him coming like that. He must have been holding back in the preseason because, you know, I see a few runs here and there, you know, 5 yards here, 7 yards there. I've seen flashes, but I didn't see this coming. This guy looked like the old Larry Johnson because, Larry Johnson wore the same number, back when him and Priest Holmes was like killing. But, I'm not going to get on the bandwagon just yet. But the dude looked good, man. He was the star of the night for that game. The Sunday games, we have the Jets, the horrible Jets versus the Bills. I didn't even bother watching this game. But the Bills won 21-12. I guess, Ryan McMillan is happy. He's a Bills fan. Shout out to Ryan. I did watch the Eagles versus the Redskins. Eagles won 30-17. And, offensively, I think the Redskins, that running game is the whole key. They have a good offensive line. Of course, the future Hall of Famer Trent Williams, Brandon Scherf, but that running game needs to be it needs to be crispy, man, because they got weapons. You got, Jamison Crowder. You got, Terrell Pryor. You got the great tight end Jordan Reed. That running game needs to be crispy. You can't just run for 20 yards and then lose yards on the next 2 carries and get 1 yard here, and then you know what I'm saying? It has to be crispy. It's cool having 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, 7. At least you're moving the ball. You don't have to move it all to one chunk. And I feel like they'll get it together, man. You go through preseason. A lot of these guys didn't play a lot, so it's all about getting their feet wet. They did get destroyed. It was just offensively they really couldn't get anything going. But the Eagles, man, I got the defense as a top 5 defense, and it showed. It sucks that Ronald Darby left with a dislocated ankle. And from the video, it looked like a regular old, when people roll their ankles, but dislocated ankle. And that team, they got Sidney Jones over there who's already out with a torn Achilles. That happened back in the combine. And, he's out for the season. Now you got Ronald Darby, who they just traded for Jordan Matthews. Who knows how long it's going to take, but he's not going to play the next game. Probably not the next 2 games. Jalen Mills came in, got an interception. Well, he was already in, but he got an interception. DeSoto kid, by the way. Luckily, they have a good front 7 that can kind of hide the secondary. Malcolm Jenkins is back there. He can kind of hold it down for a little bit. But offensively, they look exactly what I thought it was. I guess the bonus was Nelson Aguilar. If he can do what he did right here, if he can give 600 to 650 yards, good yardage, just make it a threat, take the attention away from Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey, this team is going to be top 5. And so that game went Philly 30, Washington 17. We got the Raiders and the Titans. Marshawn Lynch came in and just killed it. Fourth quarter, he came in and just, did what he had to do, man. And the Titans, I feel like in that AFC South, they are the favorites in my eyes. They should be fine. I didn't really watch that game, but I did see highlights. But Marshawn Lynch came in, great debut for him. 26-16, Oakland won. The Jaguars and the Texans, this was the game that surprised the hell out of me because with all the shit I was talking about on Blake Bortles, it's still true, by the way. It's still true, but that defense, man, it just smothered Houston on offense. Maybe it was Tom Savage, but I mean, Tom Savage is a smart guy. You know, he's like the Rex Grossman of 2005. Like Rex Grossman, he wasn't the elite runner, but he was smart with the ball. Tom Savage is smart with the ball, and Calais Campbell was a beast. 4 sacks. He obviously put a stamp on that defensive line, and then I think that team had 2 defensive touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, or was it the Rams? But that team smothered the shit out of the Texans, man. Deshaun Watson ended up coming in late, ended up throwing it to DeAndre Hopkins for the only touchdown for the Texans, and it looks like he's going to be the starter for the foreseeable future. The thing I want to see about Deshaun Watson is pretty much like, is he going to play favorites? Or is he going to spread the ball around? Fedoris is not going to play. He has a concussion. They did reach out to Garrett Barnidge, who was a tight end at Cleveland. He had a good year. But is he going to spread the ball around is the question. You know, he don't have to throw it deep all the time. You know, it's all right to dink and dunk. And then, jab, 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 and then hit it with the uppercut. You feel me? But that game went 29-7. Very surprising to me. Jacksonville with the win. The Cardinals versus the Lions. David Johnson left with a dislocated wrist. And if you look at that play, man, I feel sorry for the kid, man. Very, very great running back. Big dude. And that sort of hit happens a lot, man. I'm surprised that don't happen even more. Guy comes in, leans his, I don't know if it was the helmet or the shoulder pad or the fact that, his hand was on the ball and then, the force from the guy coming in, it hit the right part of the right place on the wrist. But I felt sorry for the kid, and Carson Palmer just looks like, he looks like shit. Carson Palmer is my guy. Of course, I got him on my fantasy team because I don't know. Just a resurgence, man. I might have to drop him because there's no David Johnson for like 2 or 3 months. He's going to be out for probably like 8 weeks. So I got to do something about Carson Palmer. They did pick up Chris Johnson. I don't know what that's going to do. But, Bruce Arians, he's a guy that, he wants to pick up people that's familiar with his offense. And Chris Johnson definitely familiar with his offense. On Detroit, they found that new toy, Kenny Galladay, one of the stars of the preseason, man. I like this kid, 6'4". This dude plays smooth as shit, man. I like his game. I should have picked his ass up before the season started, but I didn't know, there are certain guys in the preseason that just have great preseason. Then when the season starts, they just kind of get lost in the shuffle because, in preseason, you're not playing against first teamers all the time. So you look good against a second and third string guy. But this guy's legit, man. Caught 2 touchdowns. Detroit got the win 35-23. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Pittsburgh squeaked it out, man. 21-18. Kaiser looked kind of good. Kaiser looked good going up against a team like, Pittsburgh, hostile environment. Wait, they were at home. Never mind. They were at home, but still, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You coming in a great defense. Yes, TJ Watt had 2 sacks on you, but you stayed composed. You got a touchdown on your own. For that team, losing by 3 to the Pittsburgh Steelers is almost like a win because Pittsburgh has owned you all these years. But in this game, I think Antonio Brown had 11 catches for 182 yards. Never mind the 182 yards. 11 catches on 11 targets. This dude catches every damn thing. And shout out to him and Bill Roethlisberger. I used to thought that Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison had a great cohesion. It was just something about them two. But Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, that's just something special to me. That they haven't, Antonio Brown is young, relatively young. I don't even think he's 30 years old yet. But the things that they have that they do for Antonio Brown is incredible. And when he catches it, he's a threat to run it all the way to the end. 11 for 182 for him. They barely get the win, 21-18, but I guess a win is a win. Atlanta and Chicago. Atlanta squeaked it out, and never mind the fact that the Atlanta was winning. We knew Atlanta was winning, but the star of the game is Tariq Cohen, the human joystick. 5 carries, 66 yards, including a 46-yard run, but he had 8 catches for 47 yards. You want to talk about a Swiss fucking Army knife? I like that kid, man. I couldn't even pick him up on waivers, boy. Everybody named Mama was trying to pick him up, man. But Tariq Cohen he's gonna be something special, man. If they use him in the right way. And Mike Glennon looked good, as I was kind of surprised. I had Mitch Trubisky, doing well over Mike Glennon. Of course, historically, Mike Glennon, he's not the most accurate quarterback. He'll throw a fastball when he needs to throw a changeup. But he looked comfortable back there. But, having games like this where you're in the game and you have a chance to win, in that city, that's all that they can ask, because they're expecting to get blowed the fuck out. And I guess the unfortunate news of this game, Kevin White, coming off of 2 broken legs, both legs, he had a broken collarbone. It's so unfortunate for this dude, man. 3 straight years of getting hurt. This shit reminds me of Charles Rogers, very great wide receiver at Michigan. And then he comes in and he just can't get on the field. I'm hoping for a speedy recovery for Kevin White, man. So much talent, man. He was showing like he was trying to, be that impactful guy, and he was. And then injury bug bites him again. Atlanta coming out with the win, 23-17. Baltimore Ravens blanked the Cincinnati Bengals. For me, the Cincinnati Bengals, man, they're like that chick that she's beautiful and then she walks up to you and her breath stinks. Like, everybody remember the Bengals back in the 90s. They were pretty much how the Browns are now. Jeff Blake, Darnay Scott, Corey Dillon. They had great pieces, but they just could not fucking win for shit. And back then it was the AFC Central before they switched it to 4 divisions. But they really need to fix some shit real fast. Either tear that shit down and start all over again, or find another quarterback. Andy Dalton, 4 interceptions, had a QB rating of 28.4. To be honest, I don't know if I could throw 4 interceptions, because, man, to be honest, I'd be thinking and dunking all damn day. But, that team, hopefully this is just first game jitter shit, but, maybe because it's the great Baltimore defense, it can't be that, because y'all in the same division, so you kind of know them, and you can prepare for them. But that offense needs Jesus. Baltimore won 20-0. Next game, the St. Louis Rams put up a 40-piece on the Indianapolis Colts, 46-9. In this game, you can obviously tell that the Colts really need Jesus and Andrew Luck. This team looked like shit. If Andrew Luck doesn't play the rest of the season, I can say that they might be fighting with the Jets for the number 1 pick. And I mean that legitimately. Scott Tolzien came in and looked like Carson Palmer. Just overwhelmed. He threw 2 pick sixes. And that Rams team, it's so fucking encouraging, because in the offseason, I'm like, they need one thing. They got Sammy Watkins. He didn't wow anybody today, but you could tell that field was tilted, and it opened it up for everybody else. That offense looks crispy, man. Jared Goff over 300 yards passing. That team, I like it. Get the win. Get the win that in a division where it's gonna be tough, man. You in a division with the freaking Seattle Seahawks. Now, 49ers, there's a debate on, how good they'll be. They'll be okay. The Cardinals, they bipolar. You don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. But take advantage of wins like these in a week where, take advantage of this shit, man. Cardinals lost, San Francisco lost. Seattle lost. Ooh, look who's at the top of the fucking division. You are. So, you got to get wins like these. And they won in convincing fashion. I didn't know they was going to score 46, but they did. Cooper Kupp, man, one of the guys that I liked in the preseason, man. He got him a touchdown. I have no idea how they're going to use him, man, because you got Sammy Watkins, you got Tavon Austin, you got Robert Woods, and you got Cooper Kupp. That offense looks really good. The running game looked really damn good as well. I like the direction they're going. Now Jared Goff, you have no excuse to fuck up. You feel me? Panthers versus the Niners. This is the game where they just kind of slowly just slice the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? Cam Newton looked good. Christian McCaffrey looked damn good. Pause. This was just a real methodical game. Cam Newton coming off that shoulder injury, he overthrew some shit, but he looked good out there, stayed in the pocket, ran a little bit. You could tell that shoulder was not bothering him. Jonathan Stewart had a touchdown in this game. The defense was just smothering. And, even though the San Francisco 49ers only scored 3 points, I think their offense looks, it has an identity. Pierre Garçon was killing, but, of course, everywhere he goes, he kills. But this San Francisco offense, I like the makeup of this team. Maybe the tight end, they need a real tight end, but I like the way the team is made up, man, and they should be alright. Too bad they play in the NFC West, but 23-3. They get the win. One of the young guys, Russell Shepard, 2 catch, 53 yards, including that long touchdown where he had that nice little spin move to get in the end zone, man. It was just so nice. Pierre Garçon, 6 catches, 81 yards, man. And the kid, Greg Kittle for, San Francisco, the rookie tight end, 5 catches, 32 yards. Pretty solid game. Seattle versus Green Bay. Very defensive game, man. This was a 3-0 game at halftime. And I had Seattle winning this game because of the Sheldon Richardson trade. I thought that they get that one more piece on defense because, that was a team that, Michael Bennett was the only pass rusher on that team. Now you get Sheldon Richardson. What the fuck are you going to do now? But in this game, it held true. It held true to serve. But, everything that I expected was a total fucking opposite. You had Green Bay putting pressure on Russell Wilson, and he was running for his fucking life most of the game. And, he was 14-27, wasn't very accurate. Really throwing into 2 guys. Jimmy Graham had 3 catches but only 8 yards, man. Chris Carson did pretty good, 6 carries, 39 yards. But, not really a real threat in the running game. Eddie Lacy, 5 carries, 3 yards. Maybe that experiment is going down the drain. And, of course, Green Bay just, spreading the ball around as usual. Aaron Rodgers over 300 yards passing. Randall Cobb, 9 for 85. Jordan Nelson, 7 for 79. They had 6 guys who had at least 3 catches. Just spreading the ball around. Just, that team is going to be nice. 17-9 to score. Of course, my Cowboys and the Giants. My Cowboys won 19-3. This was a game where, you could tell that they missed Odell Beckham. Evan Ingram was in this game. I think Evan Ingram did great despite the circumstances. He was pretty much the primary target all night. Brandon Marshall ended up catching one pass, and that happened way in the fourth quarter with about 27 seconds left. I guess for the most part, well, I'm not going to, you know what, I'll take that back. Eli Madden had nowhere to throw. You know, DeMarcus Lawrence had 2 sacks on him. And if you as a team give up 3 sacks to the Dallas Cowboys, something is definitely wrong with your offensive line, because we don't have no pass rush. We have good pass rushers. DeMarcus Lawrence, Taco Charlton. Yes, I did say Taco Charlton. But, if you look at the stats for Eli Manning, 29 for 38, 220 yards. 29 completions, but only 220 yards. Ideally for a quarterback, you want to have 8 yards per, completion. But he was just throwing it short all day. Shane Vereen had 9 catches. Sterling Shepard had 7, but only for 44 yards. Evan Ingram had 4 catches. Of course, Brandon Marshall had 1 for 10. They couldn't run the ball at all. Looking at a team that had 35 yards rushing all game. Paul Perkins, 7 carries, 16 yards. That's it. That team really couldn't get shit going all game. Third down conversions was, they couldn't keep the defense off the field, because that defense was worn the fuck out. The Cowboys didn't have a 3 and out the whole game. Ezekiel Elliott had over 100 yards. Terrence Williams, 6 for 68. Jason Witten with a touchdown, 7 catches, 59 yards. Became the all-time leading receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. Des Bryant only caught 2 catches for 43 yards. Janoris Jenkins did a damn good job on him. But as you can see, for the Cowboys, we can throw it in other areas. Ryan Swiss, I was waiting for him to break down. But anytime you have, you're a team that gives up an interception to the Dallas Cowboys, something's definitely wrong with you. And I'm saying this as a diehard Cowboys fan. Diehard, I will fight you if you talk down about my Cowboys. But we just don't we don't get turnovers like that. Injury note for this game: Orlando Scandrick has a broken hand, man. We need all the help we can get in the secondary, man. And our best cornerback gets hurt. So we got to cross our damn fingers for next week. We got Denver Broncos next week, so we got to definitely cross our fingers on that. The Monday games, I didn't peep those. We had the Vikings beating the Saints 29-19. Dalvin Cook, man, was racking, nigga. He was racking. He was racking up them yards. Over 100 yards. Adrian Peterson was pissed off the whole game. I think he had 5 carries. Let me check that as we are right now. But for that Minnesota offense, man, for all the stuff we talk about Sam Bradford, man, that dude looked good last night, man. Thielen was killing. You had Stephon Diggs killing. Did the little Randy Moss celebration with the 2 hands going out. Yo, that's a nice little. And then of course they got a good tight end in Kyle Rudolph. Now they have a running game, and it's funny when you have a running game how everything else opens up. Look at Sam Bradford. All you had to do is give him a good running game. St. Louis, that's all you had to do, man. Adrian Peterson had 6 carries for 18 yards. Wow, that's surprising. Wow, I didn't even know that. And of course, for the Vikings, man, you had Dalvin Cook 127 yards, Thielen 157 yards receiving, Stephon Diggs 2 touchdowns with 93 yards receiving. This team's look good, and you add that to the fact that they have a pretty good defense, man. This team's gonna be dangerous, but it is the NFC North, and you have the Green Bay Packers and you have the Detroit Lions. The Bears ain't going nowhere, but this is gonna be a great battle in that division. Minnesota comes out with the win, 29-19. New Orleans, y'all need Jesus on defense. The Broncos versus the Chargers. Broncos came out with the win by 3, and you just gotta feel bad for Phillip Rivers. Another game where you lose by less than 7 points. I had a lot of those last year. This game, as I pull up the notes for this game, they were down. The Chargers was down 24-7, and the Chargers they was coming back. Unfortunately, coming up short. Melvin Gordon, it really couldn't give him any room. 18 carries, 54 yards. Really, spreading the ball around. Keenan Allen really couldn't get nothing going. 5 for 35, all short passes. But for the Broncos, their running game was good enough. Jamal Charles, I was happy to see him on the field. 10 carries, 40 yards. Trevor Siemian really did a good job. 17, 28, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, unfortunately. But, he did a pretty good job spreading the ball around. 7 players had a reception in this game. The leading receiver was the Demaryius Thomas, 5 catches, 67 yards. The 2 touchdowns came to Benny Fowler. You can see he has no favorites, which is what I like in a quarterback. Throw it to the guy who's open. You just got a feel for, the San Diego Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. In that AFC West, this is an early division game. You're down 1. This is a very tough division, one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. You got, them two. You got the Raiders and you got the Chiefs. Very tough teams. You got to come out with the win, but there's something to behold in a game like this where you only lose by 3. But of course, being the Chargers, you can't be happy with another game that you lost less than 7 points. Just unfortunate. Coming up on the Chris Rocket podcast, we're going to give you previews for week number 2. I know this was a long-ass segment, man. We had 30 minutes. But you all listen to the Chris Rocket podcast.
Don't miss the next episode of Serious Cougar. Eunice goes on a bender with a pool boy and breaks her hip. If women in their 20s don't know their ass from their elbow, and women in their 50s know what they like, imagine being with an experienced, pleasure-loving octogenarian wrestling with dementia and horniness. The show that hits below the belt, just like her breasts. Serious Cougar, Wednesday nights at 9 on Weasel. In the sea, there are big fish and there are little fish. The same is true on land. But which are you? Isn't it time to define yourself? At Shark, we have different Shark credit cards based on your level of insecurity. Let your credit card color define you. Go on a shopping spree with a red Shark card. The great white Shark is a beast of a card. Everyone in the restaurant will see it and know you are the ultimate predator. Tiger Shark is for the flamboyant spender. The Bull Shark for the violent, aggressive predator who hunts in all kinds of environments. Or there's the charitable basking shark, the card for the slow-moving liberal with no teeth. Shark for the apex predator.
Welcome back to the Chris Rocket podcast, and now we're gonna go to the previews of week 2, man. Today is Thursday. Of course, there's a Thursday night's game, and I'm gonna start doing it like this. I'm gonna upload every Thursday. That way, it's like right in between, still fresh from the week before, and right on the day of the starting of the next week. So this is how I'm gonna do it. Every Thursday, I'm gonna upload a episode. But anyway, Thursday night game. We got the Houston Texans at the Cincinnati Bengals. I picked the Houston Texans. I think Cincinnati, they need to find identity on that offense, and that, Texans defense, even though they have, pretty much, CJ Fedorich, and they have a couple more tight ends out with concussions, I still feel like Cincinnati isn't enough. They don't have enough to beat the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson looks like he's going to start that game, and I don't think that the Bengals have enough tape on him. And he's just they can't account for a guy who's not mobile. Tom Savage isn't a mobile quarterback, and I think that they haven't really prepared fully for Deshaun Watson, and I think Watson's going to have a really good game, probably 40 to 45 yards rushing, maybe a touchdown. I I'm gonna say probably 250 yards passing. But Houston will get the win, which I predict. Sunday's game, we got the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. I picked Baltimore. Cleveland just going to get smothered by the Baltimore defense, which I feel like is very elite, man. Baltimore is really going to dominate that game. I really can't put a stat on who's going to get what, but I feel like this seems like a 24-7-ish type game, like 24-7. Baltimore's going to win that game. Since Chicago at Tampa Bay, coming off that very unusual Week 1 bye, displaced by Hurricane Irma. First game out of 16 straight weeks, which, for the record, I feel like that's just bad. But in this game, it can go either two ways. Either Tampa Bay is going to feel like shit, man. They're going to feel sluggish, or they're just going to be hungry to get back on the fucking field. And I feel like on this team, full of young guys, they're going to be hungry, ready to, show the world that the pieces that they got, man, they're really going to turn some shit. And Chicago is the perfect, team to kind of get that nice momentum going on. A team that lost his top receiver, top two receiver, because Cam Meredith, who was the leading receiver last year, out with an ACL. Now you got Kevin White with a collarbone. They're going to take advantage of a depleted receiving core. They're just going to roll over them. I predict Tampa Bay, this is probably going to be like a 35-10 type game. Really just going to roll over them. Tampa Bay with the win. Minnesota versus Pittsburgh. This is going to be a very good game, but I feel like Pittsburgh is going to be on top just because it's the better of the defenses. This is going to be a defensive game for me. Minnesota's cornerbacks isn't all that good to me. I do feel like Harrison Smith is legit, but Xavier Rhodes, he just really just caught fire at the right time. That's what I think. But Minnesota isn't going to run the ball as good as they did last week. Pittsburgh historically is a really good run-stopping team, a team that's very disciplined. The linebackers are really going to smother them. Pittsburgh wins, I think, probably 27-17, something like that. Cook is probably going to get a touchdown, but it's not going to be enough. New England at New Orleans, this game was really easy for me. I just don't see a Bill Belichick team starting 0-2. That I just can't see that happening. A couple of my picks crew, picked them. Kill and Baez, they picked the Saints. I wonder what their reasons were, but I guess they're going with their gut feeling. But I feel like I just can't picture a Belichick team going 0-2. Of course, back in 2001, they started 1-3, but and still end up winning the damn Super Bowl. No matter how you put it, it's going to always end with they still won the damn Super Bowl. But I picked New England mainly because defensively the Saints don't have an answer for the offensive weapons for the New England Patriots. And I think New England is going to take advantage of that. And this is the perfect game for the Patriots to have coming off the loss versus the Chiefs. Really find their identity on offense. Run the ball a little bit. Get their passing game crispy. And I think New England's going to win this game probably 38-10. Saints touchdowns probably going to come from Kobe Fleener on a seam route. Next, a really good game. Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs. I picked Kansas City. I don't know. It's just Andy Reid versus his former team. Of course, that other team has nowhere near the people that he had. But Doug Peterson played for him. It's just the teacher versus the student. And the teacher always wins in this sort of game. Philly is the most talented team, but Andy Reid going against his old guy. I just feel like that with that hanging over him, and I think he has an advantage. Eric Berry, I don't know how much they're going to miss him, but that's something I got to watch. This might be a game I might end up switching last minute. I really didn't really think about that shit because the Kansas City, it wasn't the same after Eric Berry got hurt. As I'm sitting here thinking about this shit, no Dontari Poe. This might be a shootout, but this might be a shootout. I'm going to stick with Kansas City. I'm sticking with Kansas City, man. It may be something about losing Ronald Darby. It might do something to that defense on Philly as well. I'm gonna call this a shootout, probably 38-35. Kansas City with the win. Tennessee versus Jacksonville. If you look at this on paper in the preseason, you were like, yeah, this is this is like a game that I wouldn't even think about. But coming off that week 1, we all knew Tennessee was going to be exciting. Nobody knew the Jacksonville was going to look like that. So this is like a very good game. I picked Tennessee because I feel like, Blake Bortles was hidden by the defense. He can't hide behind that defense all year. And Tennessee is going to run the ball. They didn't run the ball effectively week 1. They're going to run the ball this week, or at least try. Marcus Mariota looks fully fucking healthy, and he's going to run over this team. I think this is going to be like a 23-16 type game. Tennessee with the win. Arizona versus the Colts. This is Arizona all the way for me, but I don't know by how much. It's not going to be by much. The Colts, depending on who they start, whether it's Tolzien or Jacoby Brissett, that offensively they need help. Running game, they got Marcus Mack. He's a young guy. He's gonna do young guy shit. His vision isn't, he's fast, but his vision isn't what that is. Cardinals, they need a bounce back game. This is the perfect bounce back game for them. It's gonna be a low scoring affair because there's no David Johnson, and Bruce Arians. He isn't the type to throw the ball 50 times a game. Of course, Carson Palmer, his arm is about as brittle as fucking Chico sticks. So this game, I could probably see a low-scoring affair, probably 17-13, late touchdown by the Cardinals. We're going to call it a nice 30-yard pass to J.J. Nelson. Bills versus the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to come out with this. The Bills, is something brewing over there. I don't know what it is, but you got people who just, walking around, slouching around over there. LaShawn McCoy is still doing this thing, had 100 yards last week, but you can't account for the things that the Carolina can bring to you. They run the ball good, they pass the ball good. Too many weapons on offense. I feel like Carolina's going to get the win, probably a 28-3 type of game. Defense is going to be smothering. Christian McCaffrey is going to have another nice game. Carolina with the win. Jets versus Raiders. Do I really have to explain this game? Raiders win. Next, Miami versus the Chargers. This is Miami's first game. And just like I said with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are they going to be sluggish first game, or are they going to be hungry for the game? I feel like the Chargers is going to force that upon them. Miami is going to be down in the first half, I predict, and then they're just going to catch fire in the end. Cutler is going to find Devontae Parker twice. I predict that. This is probably going to be a 28-17 type game. Devontae Parker with 2 touchdowns. Jarvis Landry, I think he's going to have like one of those underneath type game, probably 5 catches, probably 45-ish, 50-ish type yards, killing it underneath. And Kenny Stills going to probably have a couple deep balls. They're going to get their act together in the second half of this game because, hey, they had an extra bye week coming from their preseason. So this game, I could probably say 31-21, being down at halftime, probably by 14-0. But they're going to catch fire in that second half. Seattle versus San Francisco. I got Seattle winning this game. San Francisco, they just can't account for the defensive players on the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be dinking and dunking all day, 3 and outs. Seattle, they're going to do just enough to win the game. Maybe this game, Chris Carson will actually break out one. Maybe Eddie Lacy breaks out a nice run or two. Eddie Lacy, and I feel like he's going to get a goal line run in this game. Seattle's going to win conventionally, not a lot of points, probably 20-3, 20-7 type game. Seattle's going to come out with the win. Really good game coming up. Washington and St. Louis. Washington and the LA Rams. I got the LA Rams winning this game because there's something about when you have so much offense, and you got the Washington Redskins, who I feel like if you have limited players on offense, maybe if you got 3 guys that could do stuff on offense, they can do just enough. But there's something about the Rams. They got Cooper Kupp has now emerged as a guy that's a threat in the passing game. You got Todd Gurley back there. You got the Watkins, you got Tavon Austin. I don't think Washington can account for all of them. I think the Rounds win and the squeaker. I predict 24-21. Late field goal, win the game, fourth quarter. Broncos and Cowboys. I picked the freaking Broncos in this game because, the great secondary of the Denver Broncos, you just, you can throw it short all day. Zeke is going to get a little bit of room, but not a lot of room. Cowboys are going to be kicking too many field goals in this game, and with the secondary being depleted as it is for the Cowboys, the Broncos are going to take advantage of that. Despite having a very average quarterback, I think Broncos is going to win this game. Like I said, Cowboys are going to be kicking a lot of field goals. I would say the game is going to be 24-12. Green Bay and Atlanta. I picked Green Bay in this game based on the fact that, Green Bay just has Atlanta's number for some reason, even though they lost last year in the playoffs. But, Green Bay is looking for blood right now. And, this is going to be a nice classic shootout between these two teams. I predict the score is going to be 41-38. Late touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers to Randall Cobb. I predict on a touchdown in the back of the end zone where he's just looking, and boom, Randall Cobb just get open. Monday night, the Detroit Lions versus the New York Giants. I picked the New York Giants because there's no way in hell that, they can't have 2 straight weeks of that. Detroit really doesn't have a real elite pass rusher. Yes, Ziggy Ansah is back there, but they really don't have an elite pass rusher. So Eric Flowers' trash ass is going to be okay. And from what I'm looking at, Odell Beckham is practicing. So, he's going to come in this game looking to make up for week 1. And he's going to, probably get like 6 catches. And I'm going to predict like 130 yards. And that's also going to open it up for Brandon Marshall, who really shocked me by not even, he wasn't even, existing until the fourth quarter with that 1 catch. I predict this game will be probably 27-3. 27-3. Yes, Galladay had a nice game the first game, but that secondary is going to be smothering. New York Giants will get the win. Those are my predictions for week 1. Last week I went 10-6, man. Pretty damn good. My whole goal is to pretty much just stay 60%. Historically, I'm always pretty bad when it comes to NFL picks, even though I know a shitload about NFL. And I think that's just how it happens, man. A lot of the people that, win, they just get lucky. Rodgers won it last year, so I'm looking to win it this year, man. Or at least I'm gonna keep it close and then pounce at the very end. So yeah, those are my week 1 picks. If you feel like you can beat me in picks, let me know so I can whoop your ass. Cause I feel like I'm the great one when it comes to these NFL picks. But that's the show for the day, for this week. Hope everybody's having a great week. Hopefully everybody's safe and everybody's intact after Hurricane Irma. These hurricanes are crazy now, man. But hopefully everybody's, doing great. Robinson, Seglark, I think Zawacki is out there, man. A few of my Marine partners, man, down there in Florida. Heat, evacuated out of there. You know what I'm saying? But I hope everything is intact, with your place down there, man. I think you got you and your roommate. I can't leave her out as well. But hope everybody in Florida is safe. Everybody that's in impending danger. Hopefully everybody's good. See you next week. I'm going to try to make it Thursday. Try to get a little bit early on Thursday. You have been listening to the Chris Rocky Podcast. Y'all have a nice weekend.